Ladies and gentlemen, there are a bunch of articles today in USA Today, ABC News, Washington Post about Georgia prosecutors' attempt to indict Trump. They might actually indict Trump. The special counsel Jack Smith might indict Trump on obstruction. There is no classified data crime. He's a former president with the power to declassify. So then they move the goalpost and they say, well, he committed obstruction. He wasn't complying with us. He has every right to do what's in his best interest through his lawyers, like any person would. So they view that as obstruction. What they do is they accuse him of something that isn't a crime, and then they say the bureaucratic effort to get you by leveling government against you and the DOJ and intel agencies, well, you have stalled. You have not complied with us in the manner that we want, even though you're innocent of the original accusation. So it's the equivalent. I mean, you see this like old movies or different time periods where you get stopped and you get the car gets stopped. The official law enforcement official says, "Well, you have a broken taillight," and then you say, "Well, there's no broken," and then it goes whack. And then there's the taillight that's broken because he just broke it. The point is, they're trying to go after Trump any way possible. Now, in Georgia, Trump did not commit a crime. He did not tell anyone to commit a crime. He didn't tell anyone to commit a crime in January. What they've done is criminalize his personality. Okay? See, President Obama, Biden, Clinton, Bush, They had similar personalities to Trump. And you might say that's completely absurd. Well, it takes a certain type of human being to become a president. Okay, it takes a certain type of personality to become a CEO or the president of the United States. The only difference is that you can see the machinery working with Trump. The other presidents, the other politicians, they hide behind a facade of media. They hide behind, many different layers of public relations and political machines, and so you don't see how they operate. When President Obama or George W. Bush speaks to the American public or communicates, it was always through willing participants in media. You had Bush, George W. controlling media, essentially, and you had President Obama and Democrats who now control media. The narrative. They don't tell people, hey, write this. Then the rebuttal is, really? They control me? No, they don't tell people to write this. But the media goes and gravitates towards political power. In early 2000s, the political power was with George W. Bush. He completely squandered that and destroyed the Republican Party, and then it was rebuilt by Trump. Now the political power is within the Democratic Party, but they're losing it. Their influence is waning every single moment, every single day. The interesting thing is, with Trump, when he says, go find this or go find a certain amount, he didn't say do so in a criminal way. In his mind, his viewpoint was it was completely sloppy, and there were unique circumstances, and because of, a combination of factors that led to him believing that, you could actually find or get to that number. Alan Dershowitz stated with Bush v. Gore, Democrats did the same thing. They were trying to find a certain number so Gore could get Florida. So, he's already defeated the Georgia indictment. He's already beat any indictment by Georgia. They can't really, look, they're going to indict him almost certainly in Georgia. They're going to indict him, and it's going to be a trickling of indictments. This is to convince people who are essentially sheep and don't really care, or people who just, are on the fence, who don't know much about politics. Gosh, this is also to dissuade people who like Trump, but just are, there are a certain type of people in this country that actually like Trump, but they just don't want the frenzied, apoplectic hysteria from media. The temper tantrum is enough to dissuade people from actually voting for a better life. And so that this temper tantrum started in 2015 and has continued. They will not, media and Hollywood and tech, and half the country knows that they can't really compete with Trump in terms of policies. He had a better economy and a better foreign policy. Objectively better. It is objectively worse now with Biden. Okay, it is there's an invasion, we're 90 seconds to midnight. It is objectively worse. They know they can't compete. So what they'll do is create as much hysteria, paranoia, mayhem, chaos in terms of emotional, like this frenzied media reaction to Trump. And then they'll get state governments to go after him. And he has adversaries within the Republican Party. The Republican Party's not unified. The Democrats are after him, and you have, every publication, cable station, almost everyone, even Fox News wasn't really backing Trump up until recently. So you had people at Fox News who weren't supporting Trump. I think you still do. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Become a member. Become a member of this channel. People are becoming members. Thank you. To my super thanks, people are giving super thanks. Thank you. To my new Patreons, people are becoming Patreons. Thank you so very, very much. We're growing. We're over 204,000 subs. We'll get to 205 and 210,000 soon. Go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, and other publications. And, ladies and gentlemen, it's really interesting because they're using a transcript. And the Washington Post had to retract the story because the transcript that they utilized, they actually fabricated a transcript. They actually wrote words into a completely fabricated, made-up transcript before the transcript was actually published. Then they had to retract that. But of course, see, here's the thing. In Wikipedia, and the Washington Post is better than the New York Times. But the way Wikipedia, for example, works, you will never get these retractions. You will never get a hit piece from a conservative writer against a liberal publication or, reporter. That's not going to be mentioned within the Wikipedia page. If it's a conservative publication that happens to, be a bit hyperbolic, oh my God, it's complete fake and false news, and it's a terrible site. If it's the Washington Post and they're just retracting stories all the time, along with the Times, CNN, people are getting fired and retracting stories. That isn't addressed within the digital Encyclopedia Britannica of our age. But anyway, that's another story. He didn't tell anyone to commit a crime. The absurd leap of logic here, and it's going on 3 years now. The absurd leap of logic is that he tried to overturn democracy, which he didn't. He did not tell anyone to commit a crime. He did not overturn democracy. And when they're investigating Trump, they're doing so for public relations purposes. There's nothing to investigate. He didn't commit a crime. But they actually did commit crimes, so then they investigate Trump. They can then say, oh, well, you know what? He's worse than anything you could accuse us of. And they're actually the ones have all the publications, all the cable stations covering for them. When, for example, we find out that Twitter was an extension of the Democratic Party, which I've been saying for a long time, the inability, the cognitive dissonance is so profound, they don't even address it. They say, you see the way Debbie Wasserman Schultz, of all people, treated Matt Taibbi. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign from the DNC for cheating Bernie Sanders and then promptly joined the Clinton campaign, and she's lecturing Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger on ethics. I mean, it's unbelievable. But the best thing Democrats have is arrogance and hubris, and the ability to just ignore the word hypocrite or hypocrisy. It's not even a word that they know. They don't even have that word in their lexicon or language or, Rosetta Stone. There's no word in the Democratic Party sphere for hypocrite. So they're the ones who cover up Hunter's numerous crimes. And with Trump, they just go after him, accuse him of things he didn't do, then move the goalposts and then say, well, you obstructed our attempt at framing you. It's essentially what's taking place. He's already defeated the Georgia indictment. They're probably going to indict him. But we already know, Alan Dershowitz talked about this. You can't indict somebody on words that do not lead to any criminal activity. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I'll be back in an hour.